My name is Randy Rubenstein, and welcome to the Mastermind Parenting Podcast. At Mastermind Parenting, we're on a mission to support strong-willed kids and the families that love them. This two-part series is really where I want to coach you guys on all the things you're worried about when it comes to the holidays. So this first one, we're going to be focused on Thanksgiving and all things Thanksgiving. And our next one will be focused more on the winter holidays, including holiday break. So just the holiday season. And so that's kind of the theme. And I wanted to teach you guys a couple of helpful tools. So just know things I'm teaching today, you can also apply to the winter holidays as well. Okay. So the way I have found when I teach you guys things so that I'm not just talking at you, I want you to take a pen to paper, and I want you to, when I prompt you to really think about something and to have a reflection, I want you to write it down for yourself. Okay. So we have to be intentional. When I was just recording this podcast episode, with this guy today, we were talking about how you set an intention. You set an intention before an experience. So this man teaches these workshops with his dad. And he was talking about how before every workshop, they set an intention. And he was saying this one particular workshop, their intention that they specifically set was good vibes only. And so I thought, that's exactly the point. When we set an intention, what we have is we have an anchor to come back to when things go off the rails. And he kind of told this story about how in the middle of this workshop, his dad said something that was super triggering to him. And he started finding himself like not in the moment of teaching the workshop. And he sort of started going off the rails. And he had to remove himself for a minute. He had to take a break and go outside. And he left the stage that he was on. And he said, I knew I was in sort of a dysregulated state. He didn't say it like that, but that's basically what he was saying. But the way he was able to kind of recognize it and pull himself out and then be able to come back was that he remembered the intention. And in that moment, he was like, this does not feel like good vibes only. This feels like the opposite of good vibes. So we want to set some intentions for the holidays. Okay. So if you think about the holiday season, Thanksgiving, okay, why is this holiday? Why is it important to you to have a good holiday? This season, or really any season. Why is it important? What is your intention for this Thanksgiving holiday? Okay. Holidays and rituals represent something pretty important. It's like a whole life can happen. But when we have these anchored moments, oh yeah, that Thanksgiving, remember when grandma, farted at the table or whatever it is. But these are the moments that create a life where we have these anchors to kind of grab onto. And I think it's why do we want this to be a beautiful holiday? Because we want our kids to have good memories. We want them to think back on their childhood and with fondness, right? Even when it's something ridiculous, like grandma farting at the table. But we want to have these rich family experiences because we want our kids to look back on their childhoods and to remember things and for it to be a sweet memory, right? For it to be a sweet memory. And right, family is important. Why is that important to us for our kids to have beautiful holidays with family? Well, we want them to know they're rooted in family. This is where they come from. These are the people they come from. These are the people that love them. These are the people that have their back, right? That helps to shape their identity. We want them to have beautiful family memories. And it might not be that beautiful if grandma farts at the table, but it's still kind of beautiful because it's hilarious and laughing is joy. We want joy filled memories. And I think it's important for us to kind of dissect that out of it and to understand why setting an intention is so important, because I think it helps us not to get mired down in the moment when your kid's like, ugh, this turkey is gross, or whatever it is that they say. And you're like, no, you didn't. Don't worry. I'm going to have a tool that helps you to stay and be relaxed, even during those moments where your kid says that thing that you were just hoping they weren't going to say, or does that thing that you were just hoping they weren't going to do. When we get mired down in the just hoping it all goes smoothly, I think it's like we forget about the joy. We can kind of just skim over it. But when we come into it with a sense of pack leadership and we have a plan in place and we're very intentional about it. So we're talking about these things before. In a couple of days, we're going to be going for Thanksgiving, or we're going to be hosting Thanksgiving, and everybody's going to be coming over, and it's going to be kind of a hectic day. If you're hosting, it's going to be kind of a hectic day. So let's have a plan so we can all contribute to the day, right? Like that's what a good pack leader does. They don't just like wait for the day of and then hope that nothing goes wrong. It's like, no, we're talking about it ahead of time. We're setting it up. We're excited about it. We're planning I just had a mastermind mom the other day saying that her and her daughter stayed up late the other night because they were planning their pies. Like all of those moments are beautiful memories. And when we do this is what I've learned the older I get, because I am not always the best planner or systems person at all. To say I'm not the best is really being kind to myself, because I really suck at it. But anytime you talk about something and have a plan ahead of time, it's just not stressful, right? Like it just takes the stress element out of it. You feel like you're in the driver's seat of your brain. So I want you to think about, what is your favorite holiday memory as a kid? Okay. When it comes to either a special Thanksgiving memory or a special Christmas or a Hanukkah memory, or whatever it is that if you celebrate a different holiday, what is a special memory that stands out to you as a kid? Does anyone have one? Like my mom's stuffing. I'm about to send my 21-year-old daughter. She's doing Friendsgiving at college. And I was like, oh, you got to make Mimi stuffing. It's the best. My mom's stuffing is my favorite Thanksgiving memory. It's delicious. I look forward to it all year long. So what is your memory? It could be a food. It could be, for my kids, we get together with extended family, and with my youngest son, that's when he's with two of his cousins that are his age, and it's just he just gets to be alone with his cousins, and it's a whole day, and then they have cousin sleepover, and that's his special thing. Maybe it was stressful. You felt your parents' stress, and so the holidays don't have such a special memory for you. And so therefore you're really determined to create a different type of memory for your kids. So it might be that, I don't have many great holiday memories, and I want to do it differently for my kids. Now, if you think about a memory where you experience some disappointment, maybe it's that it wasn't like my family never did that whole watching football, playing football. I remember watching shows. Like I think I watched an episode of Parenthood, and like on a Thanksgiving, they're all cooking together and they're watching TV. They're watching the sports, and they're throwing a football, and it's not just the boys throwing a football. Everyone played football. And I'm like, that's so fun. I want that. I didn't grow up with that. What are you hoping to impart on your kids this Thanksgiving? So hard, right? It's actually easier to say the things we don't want than the things we do want. Fun with family, right? Fun with family. I mean, for me, I think a lot of us, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, I don't know, you guys can agree or disagree with me. Like, I want to be a childhood magic maker. I want like I came to this adulthood table feeling like I didn't have the most magical childhood. I watched a lot of shows and fictional families, and it seemed like those kids were having some magical childhoods, but mine didn't feel so magical. And so I had a secret dream. I wasn't aware of it, but it drove so much of what I did, I think, because I was like, I want my kids to experience that magic. Like, I sort of wanted to live vicariously through them. Or if I'm really, really honest, I wanted to be the parent that gave my kids a magical childhood. Because I was going to be, I was proving something, which that got in the way a lot of the time because I wanted it too bad. It came across as graspy. Are you having fun? Are you having fun? Are you having fun? They're like, relax, relax. So, really thinking this is all going into defining your intention. Now, what gets in the way of the magical memories? Quite often, how many of you identify with judgy relatives or the perception of judgy relatives? Maybe you've got picky eating kids and you're not sure if they're going to eat anything, and they don't always have the best manners, and that Aunt so-and-so or grandma or whoever is going to be looking at your kids, or maybe they fight with other kids a lot and you're worried they're going to be mean to their cousins. Yeah, judgy mother-in-law, right? Judgy mother-in-law, right? So it's like we were so scared of that judgment or that perceived judgment. Here's a little spoiler alert for you guys. Everybody who has a judgy somebody in your life, all judgment is actually a self-projection. So if that judgy mother-in-law is judging your kids and judging you as a mom, I promise you, she judges the hell out of herself, and she actually doesn't think she did that great of a job. And she's looking for evidence for other people who might be screwing it up even more than her, or just as much, to make herself feel better. Judgment is always, it really is about the person judging. And I get it. When those little shitty comments come your way, it sucks. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to deal with that. So are you worried that your kid's going to do something and you're going to be embarrassed of their behavior? Right? You're going to be embarrassed of your kid's behavior. You're going to be embarrassed if your kid acts like a kid, and, or if you have a kid that has a lot of strong-willed behavior and is difficult for you a lot, or gets in trouble at school a lot, probably a decent likelihood that they're going to be displaying some of those less than ideal behaviors with all of the relatives and the onlookers. And then you're going to feel like they're all judging you because of your kid's less than ideal behavior. I mean, I think that's pretty common. I think it's pretty common to feel that way. So what gets in the way of you being that relaxed, present, calm, engaged, joy-filled parent? What gets in the way for you? Sort of identify it, because I think it's important to identify it, because then when it shows up, you're kind of expecting it and you can have a plan in place how to deal with it, right? So identify, what is the thing? Like, if you think worst case scenario, this happens.
I guess my worst case scenario, we're having Thanksgiving at my sister-in-law's house. Her and her husband don't have kids yet. So she's like, oh, I've got a kids table and I'm like kid proofing the loft and all this stuff. And I don't know what that means, what she thinks that means. And and Avery is like the badger and like high energy. And I guess worst case scenario is that he doesn't want to sit at the table because they're very much like classic, like dinner setting, everyone's sitting down. And with little kids, that's not the case. They're all over the place. So my worst case scenario would just be that Avery like melts down and just the whole like shit just hits the fan. Is really
Okay. We know that it is going to be difficult for Avery to sit for an extended period of time at the table. Okay. So, and what about eating? Do you feel like will he eat the food or not so much?
Somewhat. He'll most likely just eat the dinner rolls all night, which is fine. That's another thing that Chris and I have both been vocal about when they bring it up of like, eat your food. And we're like, just eat what you can, bud. Like, we just kind of make that like a very not kind of passive aggressive, like eat what your body tells you want to eat, in front of my in-laws. So food is kind of a touch and go. He might eat it, he might not.
Okay. So do you think that it's necessary for Avery to sit at the table as long as the adults sit at the table?
I personally don't. Like,
okay.
It's much easier if he's not sitting there.
Okay. So who is the actual pack leader of your child?
Me and my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've come, you're going to be gracious guests. You don't have to cook the meal. They're doing all the things. You get to show up. Let me tell you, I host a lot of holidays. It's a wonderful thing to get to go and be the guest and just show up. And so what does a gracious guest truly do to be gracious?
Just offer help if I can.
They don't let their 5-year-old hijack the meal.
Yeah.
And take up all the air in the room. Okay? Yeah. And so if you're focused, let's just say your intention is to be a gracious guest. And by being a gracious guest, I show up as the pack leader of my children. I got 2 little kids. We're in a busy season of life. What they think I should or shouldn't be doing is their business. What I actually do to make sure that I stay intentional and I show up as a gracious guest is my business. And to show up as a gracious guest, I got to make sure that I set my kid up for success. And what I know is that he may just eat dinner rolls. Okay, I'm cool with that. He may only be able to sit at the table for 5 minutes. Okay. What is he doing when he's not sitting at the table?
Probably running around, jumping off couches and acting like he was raised in a barn.
So how are we going to offset that and not allow that to happen? Because a gracious guest is not going to let their kid, they're going to let their kid know from the very beginning, even way before we go there. These are the expectations.
Yeah.
We're showing up to Aunt so-and-so's house and we're going to have Thanksgiving and you're going to get, and this time there's going to be another kid there, which is going to be super awesome and fun. And so I just want to let you know kind of how it's going to go. We're going to go. We're all going to hang. You guys are going to be able to run around. We'll watch you outside. You'll get to, check it all out. I think they have kind of a cool backyard or whatever it is. And then you'll run around. And then when it's time to eat, we'll wash our hands. And then we're going to get our plates of food. And we're going to come and we're going to sit down and we're going to eat our meal. We're going to put our napkins on our lap, push our chairs in. And after we eat, we're going to look at the host and make sure and say, like, thank you so much. That was delicious. Because when somebody makes you food, it's really lovely. And so we're going to say, thank you. That was delicious. And then when you've been sitting too long enough that your body wants to be away from the table, you're going to whisper to me, Mommy, may I be excused? And I am going to say, sure, let me help you get set up. Because when all the adults are still eating, it's going to be quiet activities time. And so we're going to bring a little bag and I'm going to have some special things in there that maybe you haven't seen. And, we're going to have some, crayons and some mazes and some different things, maybe a few new little toys to play with or whatever to share with your cousin and to play. And we're going to, and I'm going to be okay with you doing some quiet activities close by. And then when the adults are finished and we help clear the table and we ask how we can be helpful, because that's what you do when you're a gracious guest. Then it'll be time to get to run around outside and play again. And either me or dad will be, or uncle so-and-so or aunt so-and-so. We'll always make sure an adult's with you guys to supervise. And then it'll be time to go and run around and play again. What about running around and playing or jumping on things inside the house on the furniture? What do you think about that? And if he's like, I think it sounds great, just be like, I know we're kind of loosey-goosey about that stuff in our house, but when we go to other people's houses, a lot of people don't want you, doing that in their house. And so we got to really respect the rules of the household. So I think it's really important for you to remember bottoms go on the furniture. You can sit on the furniture, and running around in the house, especially when you got too many, it makes it too crazy. So you can run around outside. Inside, we'll have a special bag for you to do the quiet activities. When you want to be, so remind me, what happens when we get there? And see, we establish the rules. What we are doing is we're setting expectations. We're letting him know the boundaries involved. It's not okay to run around in the house, but instead of just we're letting him know what he can do, where he can run around, where he can expect to run around, how the night's going to go. We're taking the uncertainty out of it.
Okay.
And we're going to be repeating it and we're going to be going over it. See what happens here. This pack leadership plan is we're putting so much bandwidth on the front end. So we're not crossing our fingers and hoping that it goes well. We're setting it up to go well. He knows exactly what to expect. And if all of a sudden he forgets and he starts running around, you or your husband are going to go over to him. You're going to take him, you're going to pick him up, and you're going to take him outside and you're going to say, buddy, it seemed like you forgot the rules about the running around inside. Do you need to move your body for a few minutes? I'm still eating. I'm still at the table. I'm almost done. Do you need to do a few loops and then we can go back inside? It's okay. You just forgot. You're a little kid. You're learning. Your behavior so far has been beautiful. You've been such a gracious guest. I hope you feel proud. See, so if he starts to take up all the air in the room, hijack the household, ruin the holiday for other people, we're going to rein it in quickly. You show up with that plan. You've talked about it ad nauseum. You set them up for success. You've also sold it a little bit. It's going to be so much fun. Normally, you've been the only kid. Now you got baby brother there. Now you got a cousin there. This is going to be a real, and we're going to have this special quiet activities bag. And I bet your cousin's going to be so excited that there's going to be some really fun things for you guys to do and play with. I'm not worried about you, bud. We're going to have so much fun. Look, your pack leadership, it has improved so much, and you just have to manage the sentences in your, like, he's gonna ruin it. He's gonna ruin it for other people. And it's like, if we shifted that sentence to, I'm gonna ruin it for other people. Yeah, if you don't show up in this way, you are going to ruin it for other people, because you're not going to be the pack leader your kid needs you to be in those moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you're not going to ruin it. You're cool and awesome and with it, and you're capable, and you're like, I got this. And I don't have to cook a damn thing, or I have to cook one thing and bring it. Like, this is not the way it's always going to be. I'm kind of getting, an off the hook card because I got 2 little kids. Like, I'm milking the hell out of this. I guess I'll go ahead and teach you my favorite tool. My favorite tool to use during the holidays, or really anytime, but it's especially hilarious during the holidays, is my "but of course they did" tool. So, in setting up the but of course they did" tool, okay, this is what I want you to remember. If you're traveling to visit family, or all of a sudden getting together with family that you don't get together with all the time, it's almost like we get temporary amnesia, like we do during childbirth. It's like all of a sudden, if you have multiple children and you're in childbirth, you're like, how did I forget how terrible this is? And we get that amnesia, right? So we just forget. We forget. And it's what the mind does to sort of like, recover. It's like, if we lived in how awful something was, we would never do certain things again. So our brain plays tricks on us. So we get temporary amnesia when we're around people that we know very well, because guess what? Mom's gonna mom, and dad's gonna dad. All the ways that mom mommed that drove you crazy, and I mom that drives my kids crazy. And like, you've got their numbers. People are who they are, and mother-in-law is going to mother-in-law, and sister-in-law is gonna sister-in-law, right? And all of it. And your crazy nephew is gonna crazy nephew. People are gonna show up exactly as they are and as they do. And where the real stress and tension comes from is we argue with reality that it should be different. We should all over ourselves. We have manuals for people. Even though mom has given her disapproving look, or said, made comments like, really? You want a second piece of chocolate pie? Or whatever it is. Even though this is who they've always been, you argue with reality that they should be different. And that's where so much tension comes in. But what if, okay, I know this is a crazy radical idea. What if we just expected mom to mom and sister-in-law to sister-in-law and yada, yada, yada? What if we just expected it? What if we gamified it? What if we turned it into something kind of fun that we could laugh about later? So but of course they did tool is, you're just sort of looking for those moments, and you're sort of keeping a tally in your head, and you have an accountability buddy. So maybe your accountability buddy is your sister or your husband or your brother, right? Like, me and my siblings do this all the time with stuff with my dad, right? But of course, he lied about this thing. And then when we called him on it, he denied it and changed the subject. But of course, oh my gosh. Oh, wait till you hear this one. No. That's nothing. I'm going to top you, right? Like, I got you, and I'm going to raise you, because listen to this. But of course they did. Then when I was, coming out of the bathroom and I was pulling up my pants, right? I wasn't even like finished, and she was waiting for me right after, and she said this thing, or he did this thing. So you kind of gamify, and you gamify it by playing the, but of course they did game. And so pick your accountability buddy, explain to them the way the game works, and then have some fun with it. And it will totally change how you feel when you have these, but of course they did moments. Instead of getting all worked up, it's like you've got content, it's like you've got hilarious content. Okay, guys, that is our call for today. And that was part 1 of our Happier Holidays segment. And I look forward to part 2 next month. So be on the lookout for those emails. Bye. Thanks for listening today, guys. I hope you picked up some tips, tools, maybe some baby steps for creating more balance and boundaries in your life. And I just wanted to let you know, if you want to continue moving the needle forward in creating this for yourself, having a happier household, I want you to go to my website and check out mastermindparenting.com. We have 3 beginning programs, and if you need some accountability and more support, then please look for the one that would be a good fit for you. And as always, we're on all the social channels under Mastermind Parenting. On Instagram, it's mastermind_parenting. And, periodically I do pop up on different Instagram lives, Facebook lives, where I give you teaching and coaching. And I love engaging with you live to help you help your strong-willed kids so that they can feel better, because when they feel better, they do better. And I love, love, love getting to know you guys. So thanks for listening. If you like this podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Super, super appreciative.